also not the most sexy vegetable to celebrate. Hello zusammen, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are all having an awesome day so far. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name is Diana and I am a Canadian expat living and working in Berlin, Germany. So if you are into learning about the German culture, you want tips on how to move here and how to settle down in Germany, definitely make sure to stick around. But for today's video, we are going to be talking about German culture shocks. Now, I've done a video like this in the past, so I'll definitely make sure to link it down below. But I'm going to be talking about some culture shocks that not a lot of people talk about. And these are ones that are definitely gonna surprise you because they're a bit lesser known, but you're definitely gonna experience it in your day-to-day life as you are settling in. Now, before we jump into the culture shocks, I wanna give a huge shout out to today's partner, which is Wondershare and their editing tool called PDF Element Pro. I've worked with them in the past and it is the easiest way for you to create, convert, edit, and sign your PDF documents. And because we know that in Germany there's so much paperwork and so much bureaucracy, I know that a lot of you will find this tool super helpful. So I actually wanted to share with you a bit more on what they do and how you can be more productive when filling out your paperwork. So this is what the new version of PDF Element looks like, and it's even easier to use and 300% faster than its previous version when it comes to opening, converting, and editing your PDF documents. A really cool feature within PDF Element is the OCR text recognition, which actually allows you to scan your PDF file and you can edit it. And then from there, you can make any changes necessary, like shortening paragraphs, highlighting important sections, or even changing the font size and the style. You can even use PDF Element Pro to convert your file to other formats like Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Another cool thing is the form feature, which lets you create your own fillable documents. And now you can also go ahead and add your own digital signature, which is gonna come super handy when it comes to filling out all of your German paperwork. So make sure to check out PDF Element Pro to make your workflow more efficient and productive. And you can check the description below for access to a free trial, as well as a bunch of tutorials on how to get started. And you can take advantage of their Black Friday and Cyber Monday discounts. So thank you again so much to PDF Element for working with me, and I hope that you guys take advantage of their tool. So let's go ahead and jump into the culture shocks. Number one culture shock, which still gets me every single time, is when I go to the bakery or to the store to buy bread. And oh my God, the selection of bread is massive. So I was reading that there's over 300 different types of bread in Germany. And just coming from North America, that is a crazy amount of options. I swear that in Canada, we have like maybe 3 or 4 options max. We have, white bread, whole grain bread, gluten-free bread, and maybe another one, but nothing like 300 options. And when you go to the bakery, there are going to be so many options lined up for you. And not only do you not know what to choose, but the names are super long. So extremely long that it makes it very difficult for someone learning the language or wanting to practice German to actually order the bread. I found this TikTok a while ago of this girl pretending to go to the German bakery and ordering bread and just being completely overwhelmed and being judged by the customers because she was taking so long. And I personally found it super funny. I will go ahead and include it on my Instagram if you guys are interested. I don't know if I can actually include it in this video, but oh my God, that one made me laugh so hard. So I know that it is a very common struggle of foreigners and expats because it is definitely a very overwhelming process. And I feel like there's no way I've tried all the different types of bread, and by nature, I'm a creature of habit, so I usually get the same thing. So yeah, I'm probably missing out on a lot of good bread. And for any of my German viewers, let me know down below what is your favorite type of bread. So that way I will be able to pick something else out when I go instead of my regular loaf of bread. Another culture shock, which nobody talks about, but oh my God, was it a shock when I first learned about it, was that sometimes neighborhoods and buildings and transportation needs to be shut down because a bomb from World War II needs to be detonated. So of course, there are a ton of bombs still in Berlin that have never been found. And the thought of that freaks me out. First of all, the fact that I could be walking near a place where there is an unknown bomb. But the other fact that people actually need to evacuate, and it's a whole process, of course, to detonate it and make sure that nothing terrible happens in the process, is also a shock. I know that this is definitely a shock for a lot of people. I don't know if this is super common in other parts of Germany, but definitely in Berlin, the issue of unknown bombs and detonating them is super, super common. And I know that recently a big area of Berlin had to be shut down because of it. So yeah, it still happens to this day, so many decades later, that you need to detonate a bomb every once in a while. So if you've watched any of my other culture shock videos, then you know that it's very common here for people to ask how much you pay for rent, which for me was a shock at the beginning because in Canada, you don't openly ask people how much they're paying for rent. It's sort of frowned upon. You don't really talk about money, and that includes rent prices. But here in Germany, as I talked about before, it is super common, it's not taboo, and people will openly talk about their rent prices. So I have adjusted to that. I'm totally comfortable with telling people how much I pay for rent, but something that you need to prepare for when sharing how much rent you actually pay is the potential judgment or shaming that you are gonna get from people. People have no problem saying you pay way too much or doing calculations in their head of how much you're paying per square meter and then saying, oh my God, you pay for too much for that in that area. I can't believe you pay that much. That's crazy. I would never pay that much. So that is something that you need to brace yourself for, because obviously if you have just moved to the city, let's say over the last 3 years, the prices of rent, for instance, in Berlin, and I can imagine that in a lot of other cities in Germany, has gone up quite a lot. And for a lot of Germans or people who have been living in Germany for a while, they probably are paying way less rent for the same amount of space that you would pay as a new person to the city. So for them, it's always a shock that someone could pay that much for the same amount of space than they are. But yeah, it's just super funny to me that the shaming always comes and you just kind of have to accept it. And then you end up feeling kind of shitty afterwards because you realize, yeah, I'm paying a ridiculous amount for not a lot of space, and it's probably not gonna get any better because the rent prices just keep going up. So yeah, that is just the struggle. And especially if you were moving to Berlin, definitely expect to be shamed for how much you do pay. Another thing I have to talk about is Spargelzeit, or asparagus time. I swear to you, asparagus here, it is such a big deal, and there is a dedicated time of the year to celebrate when asparagus is in season. Germans absolutely love their asparagus, and they love to really take advantage of when it is in season. And it is very common to see stores and restaurants with signs outside, talking about the different asparagus dishes that they have, and they'll have signs saying Spargelzeit, and it's just like a little seasonal treat for everybody here. And it's not that I don't like asparagus. I mean, I wouldn't put it at the top of my vegetable list. I like it, I'm okay with it, but it's also not the most sexy vegetable to celebrate and make everybody excited for. But people absolutely love it here, and there are so many dishes that people like to include it in. So this will definitely be a shock to you if you move here and you are here during asparagus time. You will notice it everywhere. The other shock that I wanted to talk about is how important it is to have your anmeldung, or your registration for your address. Otherwise, you are pretty much completely worthless in this society. This piece of paper that shows that you have registered your address is so important that it really prohibits you from doing any meaningful type of contract or paperwork or signing anything until you have it. This is something that I highly recommend for any of you moving here to really take a look at and see if the place that you are renting out allows you to register your address, because otherwise you will not be able to set up your tax ID, you will not be able to sign any type of phone contract, you won't be able to renew your visa. So it is super important to have this piece of paper. For me, this was definitely a shock. I didn't realize the importance of having this registration form when I first got here. And I remember even when I got here in my first month, we had a place that didn't allow us to register. So it definitely slowed down the whole process of settling in. And it's not something I really thought about before, because back home in Canada, registering your address is not really a big deal at all. It's not a very common practice, but in Germany, it definitely is. And again, if you don't have it, you are pretty much not able to do a lot of the normal things, and you're not even able to get paid sometimes because you don't even have your tax ID, which is something that you will get after you've registered your address. But those are the lesser known culture shocks that I wanted to talk about and share with you, just in case you are moving here, in the process of moving here, or even if you live here and you also notice them. Let me know down below if you found this shocking as well. But thank you so much again for watching, for supporting the channel. If you did enjoy this video, definitely make sure to give it a thumbs up and make sure to hit subscribe so that you can know when I post a new video, which is every single week. And if you are interested in moving to Germany to work or to study, I do have an ebook called Thrive in Germany, where I provide you with a guide on how to get started with the process. And I also offer one-on-one coaching calls. So if you want to go through your specific questions and figure out the next correct steps for you to take in order to get to Germany, I will leave a link down below of where you can book your session. But that's going to be all for today. I hope that you're having a good one, and I'll talk to you all in my next one. Tschüss!